Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Thank you for coming. I'd like to thank Yamaha for inviting me, and it's great to be back here in Paradise. So today we'd like to just play a little bit, but primarily this is a very good opportunity for me to meet you, for you to meet me, and if you'd like to ask any questions, please feel free. And I guess we'll get started. Thank you very much.
I'll officially introduce you, Nathan. But folks, thanks again for joining us for the Nahoku Music Festival. I think it's one of the last workshops. We have a wonderful jazz concert this evening, and then of course tomorrow night's the 34th annual Nahoku Hana Hana Awards. Now, this next gentleman is going to be presenting his biggest workshop here and also jamming with the Garen Poliahu and maybe Brian as well a little bit. Pretty much if you've heard any song that's hit the top 10, be #1 or whatnot, chances are this guy's probably played on that record and also toured with the musicians. So from Madonna to Michael Jackson, everybody, Joe Satriani, Eric Clapton, Nathan East is the guy you'll be seeing on there. So please give him a warm welcome, Mr. Nathan East.
One of the things I'm most grateful for deciding to pick up the bass and play it at age 14 is just that this instrument has allowed me to travel around the world with some of my favorite artists. Many concerts we performed here in the 80s. I played here with Al Jarreau, Kenny Loggins. I've played in Hawaii with Foreplay. We did the CBS Sony music conventions here. I mean, there's lots of great things coming out. That what I noticed today is just how much this place has grown up, and it's just become more beautiful. This beautiful convention center here, and so it's really great to be back. I have been playing Yamaha basses now for 30 years, which is hard to imagine. It started when I was 1 year old. So. But we do have this is actually the latest version of my signature bass, and I'm just really, we worked really hard on the design, on the pickups and the fingering, just to have an instrument that I could go in and record with, and also play live with. So this has been my instrument of choice for many years, and I'm very, very happy and proud to play this instrument. Currently, I'm in rehearsals with the band Toto, and we're going out to Europe. Great guys. And the original band was formed together with David Page and Steve Picaro on keys, and Steve Lukather. Joseph Williams going to be singing. Simon Phillips is on drums, and we're going to be touring in Europe this summer, and also in Japan in September. And one of the primary reasons for the band getting back together was to help raise funds for Mike Picaro, their bass player, but he's been having some health issues, and so we send out lots of prayers to Mike Picaro, and we're going out in support of him. But it's great music, it's good fun, and again, I feel like one of the most fortunate guys to have been able to play with such amazing artists throughout my career. I did the last George Harrison tour of Japan in the 90s, and obviously, yes, 20 years with the Eric Clapton band, and many years with Phil Collins, and then our own group Foreplay has been together for 20 years now, as is this year. So they go by pretty quickly, and we're still having lots and lots of fun. I'd like to start with just one of the pieces that we recorded of mine 20 years ago for Foreplay. It's called 101 Eastbound, and this is a sort of a, I hate playing alone, but whenever I have to, I kind of have to try to figure out how to turn the bass not only into a supportive instrument, but play the chords and the melody and everything else. So I'm gonna see if I can. First thing is check out my tune. bass players in the room, by the way, today? Okay, how many musicians? All right. How many music lovers? All right. I mean, to play music, and especially to play music for a living, is such a privilege. And I feel as though with that privilege comes a responsibility to learn and really study our instruments and our crafts so that we can share our gift with the world in the highest fashion. So for me, it's a constant learning experience. I'm always learning and meeting new people. I'm always trying to listen and just keep my ears open as much as I can to just soak in as much music as possible and keep that circle going. So. And if you feel like just a little, tell me your name again.
Garen.
Garen's going to join on drums. Give it up for Garen. Yeah, Brian, come down too. Yeah. We'll start with this and then we'll go into home. Matter of fact, do you know this? Do you know Cat 5?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, exactly. It's a pleasure. Sounds great. Hey, well, while you're plugging in, I'll play the Jaco Pastorius version of the America the Beautiful. Jaco, one of our greatest bass players of all time, in my opinion. much cooler than playing alone. At this point, anybody have any questions or?
I think they're still mesmerized, that's what's happening.
I just kind of, you get a really warm sound on that bass.
Well, thank you.
I think it's so kind of full and rich.
Well, that is actually a great question because, of course, we spend a lot of time on pickups and everything, but there's on this particular instrument I have control over the EQ. There's kind of like an EQ box in here, and also one of the things. A lot of times when I play, you'll see me fooling with the knobs. It's kind of constantly working on the tone, and by playing closer to the back pickup, you get the more percussive sound. But when I want to keep it nice and warm, my position of my hand is generally over the kind of the middle of the pickups. So the tone that I usually try to go for is usually not too bright but not too boomy or bassy. So with this particular instrument, we were really able to develop an instrument that kind of you can hear every note, but try to keep it nice and warm, which I love as well. So thanks very much. So let's see what else you got. Helps to have these nice new strings. I think this came right out of the box from the music stores. Let's see if I can get it out of the country. But yeah, feel free if you want to know it. Yeah.
So let us give us a little insight into how you went from a 14-year-old beginning bass student to the #1
First, here's that $5 out here first. Thank you. It's funny because once I picked the bass up, I absolutely knew. I said that there's nothing else that I'd rather do and that I'm going to do. So I was in many bands in the San Diego area, and one of the first actual big gigs I had was when the Stax Review came down, and our band backed everybody up, and Barry White was one of the artists that we backed up, and when he heard our band, he actually hired the whole band to go tour with him. So when I was literally 16 years old, I was touring around the country with Barry White and the Love Unlimited and an orchestra playing at I played the Apollo Theater and the John F. Kennedy Center of the Arts in Washington, D.C., played Madison Square Garden, and then, as a 16-year-old kid, you can just imagine, like, this is it, And so Barry then subsequently started hiring me to record on all of his records. So I used to play at the Hilton Cargo Bar in San Diego by night, and by day I would drive up to Los Angeles and record with him. We did that for many months. And it was a great experience because I knew, and I finished school. I got a degree in music at UCSD, so as soon as I finished, I was just kind of hitting the LA scene, and then of course there's kind of like a business of stepping stones. One thing leads to another. People start recommending you, and one of the first people that I played with also was Patrice Rushen, who's playing tonight, and she was kind enough to tell a lot of people about me. These things she told Hubert Laws. He called me, and we ended up playing at the Hollywood Bowl together, and then he took me to Manila, our first gig together out of the country in the Philippines, and so it was like a little snowball effect of things happening. And then later on, Kenny Loggins, bass player, got sick, so he called me to sub for him. I went and toured on the road with him. We did Live Aid in the mid-'80s, and I came off the stage at Live Aid, and there's Eric Clapton saying, "Oh, that sounds great, you want to hang?" So the next so we hung out, and then he said, "Well, join me on my record and let's play these." So I went over there and we started recording. We played Royal Albert Hall, and that began a really lifetime relationship right there. And then, shortly after that, I knew Phil Bailey from Earth, Wind and Fire, and then he went over to record an album with Phil Collins. So he said, "I'll come over and do this." So I met Phil Collins over in England. We recorded the album. We had a lot of fun. We wrote the song "Easy Lover" together. So I remember that turning into a big hit. And then it's for Sony. And I remember the Sony convention was here in Hawaii. So we had we had a #1 record, and we're out here laying on the beach drinking Blue Hawaiis. I mean, that's when I said, okay, this life might be kind of cool. And shortly after that, for me it was great because not only being a jazz fan of rock and roll and R&B, then soon after that I met, I was playing with Harvey Mason and Lee Ritenour, and when Harvey went to record with Bob James, he said, "Oh, we need a rhythm section," so Harvey recommended me for that. So we made a record, and then we were there, and they said, "Oh, this is a great sounding quartet, Lee Ritenour and Harvey," and so Bob came up with the idea of forming the group Foreplay. So that was in 1991 was our first record. Here it is, 2011. 20 years later, we're still together, running around the world, and then in between that, just the opportunity to meet lots and lots of heroes, from everybody from George Benson, and I toured with Giroux and Joe Sample, lots of people that I grew up listening to and had a great respect for. Mid-2000s, Herbie Hancock called me, and again, I was just, I'm saying, man, I was at the car wash, and the phone rang, and, "Hey, it's Herbie Hancock." "Who is this, man?" So then we went out on tour, and then the drummer was Vinny Colaiuta, so Vinny and I were calling each other, high-fiving, we could tour with Herbie Hancock, and so that's just kind of like a continual, perpetual motion. But what I learned is not only it's almost like a lifestyle. You develop your relationships with people. I learned a lot about getting on with folks, and that ends up being a very big part of the equation. And so last year when Toto reformed and they called, and I was on the road with somebody, I was in Europe, and they email and phone calls from the managers, "Can you do this tour? Can you do it?" And at first I didn't think I could do it, so kind of cleared some space, and now we're kind of jumping around again this year, doing some more touring, and they're getting more offers, and so it's kind of just been a fun little ride so far.
Can you describe the collaboration process or songwriting process with Foreplay? Because listening to it, I'm thinking, like, how did they come up with all this stuff? Is it purely improvisation, or is it somebody keying in on an idea and you all kind of getting together and expanding on the idea? How does that work?
That's a good question. It's a little bit of both. The collaboration process, and I'm a big fan of collaborating. I mean, I just like today, this is much better. When I usually do a workshop, I have to bring the computer and the band in the box, which I hate because you don't get any kind of spontaneity so this is great. We can kind of, we've never played together before, but already I feel like, we might be able to go grab a gig tonight somewhere. and so same thing with Foreplay. When we have a couple different ways. One of the things we do is we each have studios, and we do our demos, recordings, and write songs or have little ideas, and we'll send it out to the rest of the guys, and we'll send 2, 3, 4 little ideas around to see what sticks and what doesn't, and then the guys choose, "Oh, we like this idea," and then we go into the studio, and once everybody starts to put their imprint on your song, you start to see it take shape, and as soon as Bob James plays your music, it sounds like he wrote it almost. And then he has such a great gift for arranging that he automatically starts putting all these special substitutions, and then the songs develop. So we get in the studio and we'll play it on the floor until everybody, everybody kind of throws ideas about sections out, and that's one way. another way we've done is we've just gone in the studio and then we've just started to jam, you know. We're not knowing what's going to come out and just let the tape roll and record, you know, an hour's worth of music and just throw ideas out. Somebody says, A flat, you know, or whatever, you know. And different grooves, different ideas, and then we'll go back and listen to it. Well, that's good, that's good, that's good. And then develop those. And the great thing about collaborating with such great musicians is everybody's input is always so fertile, you know, and they're, you know, these guys are great, fine musicians. We just played in Boston recently, and I was kind of doing the band intros, and Harvey Mason went to Berklee School of Music, and Chuck Loeb went to Berklee, and Bob James went to Berklee, and I was thinking, you know, I was the only one that didn't make it in there, but but they really, you know, I'm talking about musicians at the highest level. So I mean, a lot of times I'm inspired. You know, Bob James will just sit down in the first chord. Oh, what's that? Oh no, let's make that into a song. You know, so that's really the way it happens. There aren't really any rules per se, but we do have just like an understanding that we're coming in here to try to make some great music and something that not only that we're going to try for everybody else to enjoy, but we want to enjoy playing it as well, because you know now we've been playing some of these songs for 20 years, you know, but we still have a lot of fun collaborating together. So yeah, big fan of collaborations.
I gotta ask, because besides Foreplay, Eric Clapton, Stevie Wonder, I mean, what has been your most favorite experience and most memorable experience as a musician?
Well, there have been many, and that's a great question. A lot of people ask all that, and I'm talking about, you know, in 30 years, some very, very high kind of experience. Live Aid was one of them, you know, looking out and playing for, I think, a couple 100,000 people. I mean, it's an incredible experience. And playing Rock in Rio for 250,000 people, as far as I can see, you know, just shoulder to shoulder with Al Jarreau. I've played the Royal Albert Hall in front of the Queen and Nelson Mandela, and that's usually kind of keeps you on your toes, you know. But recently, the most exciting, I think, was playing the inauguration of President Barack Obama at the steps of the Lincoln Center in a Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C. 2 million people there, and the only thing about it was only 1 degree, so it was freezing, you know. I mean, we had these heaters behind us, and to keep your fingers warm, you know, between songs, I just would thaw them out back behind me. And but I mean, it was James Taylor, U2, Stevie Wonder, Bon Jovi, Beyonce, all playing that one day for 2 million people, you know, and so it was just exciting, you know, pure excitement. One of the interesting things that I noted was, as soon I was kind of texting all my friends, I was texting my wife and family, and you know, saying how great it was. And then the show was scheduled to start at 2 o'clock, and at 2 o'clock I went to go text, and what they did is they just jammed all the cell phones so that there was no communication whatsoever. And I thought, oh, these folks got some power. and as soon as the concert was over at 4 o'clock, as soon as that last note hit, 4 o'clock on the nose, all of a sudden I heard my text, bing, 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 all these text messages coming. But it was just really you know, an experience of a lifetime to kind of sit there and look at 2 million people out there, and then that mall, you know, going for 3 miles, you know, and so yeah, we've had some good times, and I guess I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but my wife is here with me today. My wife Anita. We met at UCSD. You know, I'm not going to say how many years ago, so I don't want to get anybody in trouble. But we met, and she's had a chance to travel around the world with me as well. And as a physician, when we were on tour in Europe with Phil Collins, and he jumped off the stage and sprained his ankle. Next thing you know, she was in his limo, in his jet, taping his ankle. And, you know, they left the bass player out to fend for him. So. But you know, we've just had a thoroughly blessed life, and you know, all as a result of music. You know, so it's just one of the things we'll be forever grateful for.
So you started at such a young age, and where you are right now, what are some of the things like you see on the news and on TV now? All these young artists coming up, it's so easy for them to lose focus and they don't have that grounding. What are some of the things in your own life that has helped you stay grounded and focused into the music and allow you to stay on track?
Yeah, one of the things I think those of us that have been fortunate enough to play music within the last 30 years or so, there was always a demand for that your talent had to be, you know, you had to come with it. And the thing that I'm noticing nowadays, I mean, for instance, we're able to play here today. You don't see 18 dancers up here, and you don't see a lot of smoke coming off the stage. And so one of the things that I think is going on sometimes today, a little bit more than I would like to see, is you have a lot of fluff and peripheral talent around what you're supposed to be. But when we were coming up, you know, you just go in there, you come in there with your instrument and you have to play. And, you know, in terms of being grounded, I just have been fortunate enough to work with some really good people. All these people I've mentioned, like Phil Collins and Clapton, and those people, you learn a lot from them and the way they handle, you know, fans come up to them while they're having dinner, and then obviously they're asking for an autograph. Well, thanks for asking. I mean, very, very nice people off the stage. And so, you know, I've kind of learned from that. My parents always, you know, they keep you on your toes as well, you know, and your family, you know, as long as you have you know, all that stuff is in place, it kind of keeps you from straying off the track. And it's an interesting ride, and now, of course, nowadays are very interesting. We have so many ways of music being delivered, and, you know, everything is constantly changing now with the CDs and the record companies kind of trying to figure it out. And so the most important thing I can think of today still is if you can just keep your talent focused and kind of remember what the mission is, you know, because there's a lot of stuff that kind of becomes on the peripheral, but is not part of the real meat and potatoes, you know. So
you said off the stage they're nice people. Is that does that mean anything else on the stage? Or?
No, they're off as well as on, you know. They're the great people, you know. And you know, I mean, we've seen all types of responses, you know. But at the end of the day, this is something that we do. I think it's a privilege and a gift, and we get to share our gift with people. If they love it, that's fantastic. But at the same time, you know, we're all in this together, and it's kind of like, you know, the world is made up of all of us. You know, like my mother used to say, you know, don't believe too much of your own press, you know. But yeah, that's a great question.
How do you go about composing? How do you get started when you're composing too?
Yeah, for me, it's funny. Songs come to me at the weirdest times when I'm driving on the freeway or sitting at a light. A lot of times in traffic, I'll hear, you know, a song come to me. So I either call my answering machine at home and sing it into it, or have a little recorder handy for ideas. It's hard for me to just go into the studio and say, now I'm going to write a song. You know, it's for me, that's a difficult task. But lots of times I'll be laying there in bed asleep, and I'll think, you know, here's something, or, you know, I'll be out here on the balcony looking in these mountains and the hills, and then all of a sudden some ideas will come. So it just, there's no real way. Just I sit down, but sometimes I'll hear a groove, I'll hear a melody, I'll hear you know, kind of just somebody. Sometimes a whole song will come, you know.
Yeah, that's kind of how I do too.
Yeah.
But I like what you said earlier about idea, and you throw it out there, and the group kind of forms it between two.
Yeah, usually, you know, it comes out of your head one way, and when people start to play it, it's definitely a different thing. I know I was talking to Stevie Wonder. He said, you know, a lot of his songs come like in dreams, you know, because here's a guy that you want to study songwriting with, you know. And so he just said sometimes lots of times I wake up and here's a song that I was dreaming about, you know.
Yeah, on the Foreplay albums, the low end is so prominent and just sounds so great. There's more low end on those albums, I think, than anything I've ever heard. Would you just kind of comment on that?
Well, I'll have to give our engineer Don Murray a lot of credit for being able to really capture the low end. He's one of the guys that I feel records my instrument better than most engineers. And many times it always amazes me that you can take the same instrument into different studios, and with different engineers it sounds so different, you know. And sometimes I literally have to pull some of those records out and say, this is what this same bass sounds like, you know, to give the engineer an idea of what it can sound like. And it's really, again, it gets down to Don Murray was the engineer for all those great records that came out of Philadelphia, the Spinners and Stylistics, and a lot of those R&B records. So he really learned at an early age how to mix, and every time we go in, I'm always a big fan of the sound he gets out of my bass, you know. So I'll let him know. All right, well, I guess play something. Yeah.
damn. That's all I can say. So, you know, you're gonna perform in front of hundreds of thousands of people. I mean, I have the Eric Clapton Crossroads DVD, and you're on stage with him, closing that whole baby out. How do you prepare for your gig? What do you do to warm up? What do you do to be in that state of mind, ready to jam?
Well, most of those shows come at the end of long tours, so we're pretty much in a forward motion and kind of warm, and so. But as far as preparation goes, we just make sure we have those tunes under our fingers, and we you know are ready to hit it. You know, and by the way, I mean for me, it's just as important to play in front of 20 people, 200 people, 2,000, 200,000, 2 million. It's all the same as far as I'm concerned. You know, get up there and give it what you got, give it your best. You know.
Folks, any other questions?
You know, bassists and drummers kind of go hand in hand. Do you have any one favorite drummer that you played with in your career?
That's
Before you answer that question, her husband is the drummer.
I have a new favorite drummer now.
There you go.
Well, Vinny's my favorite.
You've played with Vinny, right?
I play with Vinny. Vinny's unbelievable. Yeah.
That's your Vinny right here.
Yes. No, I can tell.
The
No, he's
Hawaiian Vinny.
the Hawaiian Vinny. I'm gonna call Vinny and tell him about it. Now we're very fortunate to have some great musicians in one small area. Well, LA is just packed with incredible musicians. My favorite drummer, I have to say, of all time was Jeff Porcaro.
Yeah.
And you know, give that to Jeff. I mean, he can play anything and with the greatest feel and just what, you know, I can't really describe, you know, how much emotion and just passion he puts into every beat, you know. But yeah, Vinny Colaiuta, he's right up there. Steve Gadd is right up there with those guys. Harvey Mason. Then there's JR and Ricky Lawson, and you know, just amazing kind of timekeepers, but also with good feel, can play anything, and so those guys that I mentioned are all guys that whenever Steve Ferroni, whenever I walk in the room and see any one of those guys, we know it's going to be a good day that day.
You ever have a situation where you just couldn't lock in with the drummer, or it was just really, somehow it just didn't work?
You know, there are times when you know, you have to get used to someone's, you know, where they put it on the front or the back. But again, for me, it's been the good fortune. I mean, even Phil Collins has turned into he was one of my favorite drummers. Period. You know, just for the way, you know, where he puts everything, and I've been very fortunate not to have to play with guys that you know it hasn't been working.
Folks, any more questions?
So, what was your experience like with Herbie Hancock? How did you enjoy it?
Herbie, it's unbelievable. I mean, to play with a genius like that every night. Speaking of Vinny Colaiuta, we were like a couple little kids giggling in the backstage. You know, we were gonna play with Herbie Hancock, and we. It's just like playing with Beethoven or, you know, somebody at that high level. He's every single night he's creating, you know, these masterpieces, and he, you know, the thing I really took away from playing with him is he says, don't come in here with any preconceived notion about what you're going to play. Just always keep your mind open. And he said, you know, Miles Davis used to tell him, you know, don't come down here playing what you practiced in your room, you know. I'm paying you to practice on stage. So that means, you know, if you learned a lick in your room, do not come down and try to impress everybody with that. He said, I want you to create. And then Herbie had all these great stories that Miles used to tell him. Okay, don't use your left hand when you solo. So, you know, so then he'd have to figure out how to navigate with just the right hand. Then he'd say, okay, now stay away from the money notes. You know, the notes, you know, everybody. So just those two things alone caused him to have to like really dig deep to find the most rare thing that he could play, and that I think that really shaped his style, you know. And he's a great man, really kind guy. He's 70 years old, has more energy than all of us put together. Vinny and I used to, when we jump on the bus, we'd say, hurry up, jump in your bunk, because if you get stuck with Herbie, he'll have you up till 5 in the morning. You know, it's computers and iPhones and all the latest gadgets, you know. You never want to be behind him at the airport when you're going through security, because dude has like Radio Shack in his bag. And every time, so pull it at 2 or 3 computers, you know, and all the guys give him everything Apple. And so, it's an amazing experience. Yeah. It keeps you on your toes. So,
Well, I gotta say, from all of us, thank you so much for coming down to Hawaii. I know you just got in last night to be here, share your music and some of your thoughts with us. Thank you so much. If you don't mind playing us out with one more song.
absolutely. And just again, thank you for having me. And you know, we love music, and we just want to keep it going for as long as possible. So thank you for putting this together.
Thank you.
This next song is called Silence. Let it.
Until that morning
incredible Nathan East. Also, Brian Kester, Mahalo brother. Garen Poliahu, again from the books at the White Canada recording artist. Thank you so much for being a part of the Nahoku Festival. Mahalo, folks. Give it up again to Nathan East.
But Reeves is older. Might as well hire him, he's right here.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing good, doing good. Just finishing up my album. Stay down the course and then final edits. But my friend,